All right, Bruce. So tell me, I'm just curious. Let's just say you're stranded on a desert island. What books would you take with you?
First, I would want a survival manual. I was a Boy Scout, but I wasn't a very good Boy Scout. In fact, I actually got kicked out of the Boy Scouts. I can't remember what the reason
Oh,
was,
okay.
or I prefer not to remember what the reason was. But our Boy Scout troop was a real disappointment. We never really did anything interesting like camping.
Oh, well, that's a bummer.
Yeah, and so I guess out of boredom or something, I got into some kind of trouble, but I was kicked out of the Boy Scouts.
I can't picture you getting into trouble.
But other than a survival manual, Lonesome Dove is
Oh, now that would be a good one.
is one of my favorite books,
Kind of has everything.
and it's long enough that it would
Yes.
you
You could read on it for a long time, especially your one chapter at a time.
and that's an interesting story about how I came to find Lonesome Dove. At the time, I had a band, and I guess my day job was bartender.
Oh, okay.
And so I was bartending, and I was bartending at a hotel. I was bartending at a new restaurant. And this gentleman would come in periodically, and he would sit down at the bar, and he would have a glass of wine, and he would read. And so, needless to say, eventually we struck up conversations. And I found out that whenever his wife was out of town, he would come in and get dinner and read. And he was very well read. And I was going to be leaving that particular establishment, and I knew I wouldn't be seeing him anymore because we were just over the bar friends. You know?
Right.
And so we were swapping, what are your favorite books? And he mentioned Lonesome Dove. And I went to the bookstore, and I saw the size of Lonesome Dove. It's like 900 pages. And I said, I'll never read that. And I went back and said, I'll never read that
Right.
book. And but then as it came time for us to part, and I knew we wouldn't be seeing each other again, I said, in honor of our over-the-bar friendship, I'm going to get Lonesome Dove, and I'm going to read it. And believe it or not, at the end, I was sorry that it ended.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it.
You always know a good book when you're sad when it's over.
I just came to be so involved with the characters that I was sad when it was over. And then eventually, I read it a second time.
Oh.
Just because, well, as a writer, I wanted to see why did I like this book so much? What was the author doing that I liked? And then years later, I moved to Arizona, and I was immersed in the West, and so it had a new. I had a new reason to read it because it was a Western.
Yes.
And so I've read that book 3 times.
Wow.
And that would get you pretty well through a stint on a deserted island. But other books, Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse is one of my all-time favorite books. Just a guide to life.
Right.
Short, but like a manual for how to live life.
So do you think has it ruined you somewhat being a writer and reading? Because I find myself picking books apart. Instead of just reading the story, I find myself picking it apart, instead of just reading it from, as it's meant to be.
That's a hazard of being a writer. And my partner, Linda, says, I don't read books, I study them.
Right. Yes, that's a good way to put that.
And it's true. Very rarely do I just read a book. I find myself studying it. I read it like a paragraph at a time, which is one reason I don't read much.
Right.
But she's right. I love a nicely turned sentence.
Yes, me too.
When I was in college, I studied English, creative writing, and philosophy. And I became very disenchanted with reading poetry, even though I like.
So you don't write any poetry?
No, and it's because of my college experience,
Okay.
especially by the time I got to graduate school. The poems were so esoteric and erudite. There'd be 12 graduate students in a class, and the professor would say, well, what does it mean? And you'd get 10 different answers.
Right.
And I thought, well, that's not communication. Part of communicating, part of writing is communicating.
Right.
And if you can't make yourself clear enough that, most of the people would get the gist of it,
Right.
then you're not communicating. And I really became disenchanted with writing poetry. But again, since I like a nicely turned phrase, I was fortunate enough that at the time Bob Dylan was writing songs. Again, I mentioned Dylan and the Beatles, and in that era, I found the songs very interesting, and so I decided to write songs because very few people out of the population read poetry,
Right.
but everybody listens to songs,
Exactly.
and songs typically are understandable. You get the point of the song, and it's concise, and it's a nice little package. And so I learned to play the guitar and wrote songs and formed a band. And, I did that for quite a while.
So what is it about Edgar Allan Poe that you like? Because he's a lot of poetry.
Yeah. Probably more the short stories.
Yeah.
Probably more the short stories.
Is it the way he writes that you like the most?
Well,
Is this his tone or
it's the language.
the language?
For example, I like A Tale of Two Cities.
Oh yeah.
Very sentimental. Not a modern story at all, but the language that people used in writing at that time. I don't know that if people talk that way.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I just
I was before my time.
actually for mine.
Well, yours too.
But I just like the language, the use of language. One of my favorite books is Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. A very influential book to me in my life. Again, it was coincidentally like Slaughterhouse-Five. It was like a Second World War story. But I highly recommend it. We actually studied it in college. It had just come out shortly before I was in college. But what's fascinating about it, you'll either love it or you will either love it or hate it, because it's like he took the chapters and shuffled them.
Oh, right.
So that you might read in the first chapter about something that's at the end of the book,
Right.
at the end of the story.
I like stories written that way.
And he was a master of it. Now, I guess he met a lot of resistance when it was published.
I'm sure he did.
A lot of people thought it was horrible.
Right.
But it's very interesting in terms of its format, and also with a very dark sense of humor, because he's dealing with gallows humor. He's dealing with life and death
Right.
on a daily basis through the stories. 1984, George Orwell, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, that one. And Animal Farm.
There's another one that you bought me a book of a writer. What is his name? I see the picture of the book, and he's like a gesture collar. It's kind of a jovial.
David Sedaris?
That's it. Is that him? Yes.
David Sedaris, I think I've read every one of his books, and he's just so funny.
Yes.
Writing humor is difficult. I mean, I've really come to
Any genre.
it's just writing humor is just, and David Sedaris is so good at it. And what I like best are his little anecdotes about his life. He was a very interesting character. I mean, he was a maid in New York City. You know,
Oh, wow.
he was also a Christmas elf,
Right?
and like at Macy's. He's just done so many interesting things. But his take on humanity, poignant, touching, but makes you laugh. He's one of my favorites.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Any other tidbits you can give us before we end this episode about life or books or reading?
A couple of nonfiction books that I like. A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson.
Okay.
His attempt to walk the Appalachian Trail. I mean, it's just hysterical.
Yeah, no, not happening.
And Into Thin Air by John Krakauer is a story about an ill-fated attempts to climb Mount Everest.
Oh,
And you say, why in the world would anyone try to do this?
I've read a few books on that. And,
Yeah.
Oh my God, no. Yeah.
They'll be walking, climbing, and pass a dead body
Yes.
that has been there for 60 years. You can tell
Yes.
by the outfit,
Right.
by the clothing, because no one can do anything about this dead
No.
body. You're trying to survive yourself,
Right.
and there's no way you can deal with a dead body at that altitude when
Right.
when you're literally dying because of
Right.
lack of oxygen.
Yes. Yes. No, I completely agree. Well, okay. So that. So let's.
So some other nonfiction books: The Grand Design by Stephen Hawking, Biocentrism by Robert Lanza, just books about the nature of astrophysics, and the essence of the cosmos.
Right. Well, the Artemis series touches on in different parts of that. You
Yeah.
know, he goes in and out of different dimensions, and so you kind of touch on that in the Artemis series as well.
I mean, the universe obviously is miraculous,
Yes.
and it's endlessly worthy of study. And I don't claim to be an astrophysicist, but I do like to read about it by writers who write for the layperson.
Right. Right. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today, Bruce. It's been a pleasure, and we'll talk again soon, I'm sure.